up, y'all? This is gonna be a little bit farther back of a video. I don't even know where my head's cut off or not because I can't quite see the top of the frame. That's probably a good thing to find out so I know how far back I do need to be for this. Yeah, all right, lines in the sand, don't cross them. What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Today is the 16th of December, 2025. We're gonna have airplanes overhead. Because we do it as we do. So hold on. This is Dante. I'm hanging out with him for a little bit. Okay, beautiful boy. Yeah, okay, blunt, bold, raw, and real In The Image Clothing Company as we do our normal style. But here we've got Utah Lake. We've got this boy who I've been given a chance to spend some time with. Okay. In The Image Clothing Company, this is one of our fours. This is the main side where we allow the body to work. Now, this is the point of this video specifically. Its title is, You Don't Need to Baby Your Body. Okay. And I'm going to explain some things here because we talk about a lot of things under In The Image Clothing Company with allowing the body to work to be our slogan on our main side, where a lot of times it probably sounds like I'm saying to be extra or overly careful with your body in certain ways because we put a lot of importance on a lot of things that a lot of people overlook, okay? Things like eating and things like the positions we sit in, things like standing. We get so nitpicky with little tiny modifications in clothing. And a lot of these things, they sound a little bit overly particular. They sound a little bit like, are you gonna just let yourself live? Are you trying to tell us to like lessen our lives? And this is an important video to say and to explain for the reasons that we are who we are as In The Image Clothing Company. Really, we allow the body to work and we do it through mostly clothing. Because anything that clothes the human beings or the dogs, okay, with 1/4 of us being In The Image Clothing Company poodles, letting dogs stay natural, as well as allowing the body to work on the main side here. It's the same approach. We talk about eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything we do as human beings or dogs. But anything that's placed onto the body is clothing the body. So a collar and a leash for a dog, or clothing for human beings, glasses, jewelry, whatever it is. We've got a lot of things that can really alter the only way the human body could ever work, or the body of the dogs, okay? But when I get so particular with the information that I share as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, and I'm in this for life, and so we're gonna really give a lot of information as time progresses. We'll always have good products, human being clothing and dog products, collars, leashes, harnesses, similar things like this, you know, slip leads and all whatever else we branch out into. It's kind of cold out here. I just want to make it clear what I really mean by a lot of the things we discuss where we show modifications in clothing to alter things that seem so tiny that they maybe couldn't even actually matter. It might seem like I'm just being overly particular. It might seem like I have some kind of idea on what could help. But we don't talk about things under In The Image Clothing Company unless they're really important. And we discuss things that are just true, things that are apart from all of us, things that are affecting all of us. And that's where our company name comes from, right? In the image, those first 3 words of our 5-word company name, which is essentially just one word because there's no spaces, okay? We're designed in the image of God. In The Image Clothing Company, we're designed in the image of Jesus Christ. Our bodies only have one way they work. And so I have Dante's hair in my mouth, okay? We get very particular about little things because we have to just be very particular. Anything we place on the body, anything we put into the body. We talk about eating naturally because in modern day we have so many unnatural things. Synthetic and artificial colors, flavors, and preservatives and whatever it is in food it's not real food, and it's really, really damaging our bodies because our bodies just have to use the energy and effort to process these things through them, but they can't extract any nutrients from anything that's unnatural. So it's only damaging, okay? Natural is the goal on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. The goal is natural, okay? Natural, neutral, and normal are synonyms within the human body's functioning. Now, we talk about the human body having a center line. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizing the entire body. These things are the same for dogs, okay? There's a center line to the dog, there's a center line to Earth's gravity, there's a center line to the human being. Anything we place on the body of the dogs or the human beings, they have to stay centered, fit correct, and be made in all the ways that we can from 100% natural materials, okay? Unnatural materials just didn't exist even decades ago from today's date, meaning tens of years back from today, the 16th of December, 2025, okay? So we've got a lot of things that we deal with in modern day and going forth that is only going to be more unnatural that people didn't have to deal with in the past, ever. It couldn't have happened because these things didn't exist. A lot of modern things are just new, okay? That's a lot of what makes In the Image Clothing Company needed at all, is the time period that me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and just us as this generation and going forth are placed in. So, we talk about a lot of things and a lot of modifications to allow clothing to stay centered and fit correct, and they're really small. And I understand that a lot of times it probably sounds like me or In the Image Clothing Company, right? Me, Evan Strong, the founder, we might be saying things that seem like they're overly sensitive in a sense. Like, you know, I've heard people talk about how, you know, past generations, they would just drink out of the hose and they would just, you know, eat stuff out of the ditch and whatever, and nowadays kids are overly sensitive, and, you know, all this opinion and views on what's okay and what's not, what's healthy and what's not. Under In the Image Clothing Company, when we say things that sound a little bit too sensitive, a little bit too particular, a little bit too like you're babying your body, you've got to see where we're coming from. This is the point. What I mean by babying the body is you don't go around with your dog, for example, and not let them walk on the ground because it's dirty. You let your dog's feet get dirty and you wash your dog's feet. As a human being, we don't just say, well, since we only have this one body, we should not walk too much or not squat down too much, right? Because we don't want to wear out our joints. Since they're the only joints we have for our whole life, we want to take care of them. That's being a little bit too overly particular. That's babying the body. But there is kind of like this middle ground where there's certain things we have to be very, very, very intentional about because we only have this one body. Because the dogs as well, they only have one body. It's not like if we're just unintentional, we can make up for it later. If you wear out your body and damage it in ways that are irreversible, you only have this one body. But at the same time, we don't want to be babying our bodies, because it is funny, some of the things that I say sound like they contradict each other. You know, I talk about just being so, like, almost gentle in ways with your body, but then I'll go out there and I'll walk tens of miles a day, and I'll get in a deep low squat when I tell people to not like overly exert their bodies in ways that are unnatural. But you just have to have the context on how the body works, what it means to just naturally operate on the earth, and what's really going on in modern day that just doesn't let us really see what's actually happening, that makes things actually damaging to the body that don't seem like they're as damaging as other things that really aren't as damaging to the body. Because we can go hike a mountain, and here in Utah, we live up Utah, as In the Image Clothing Company. We'll do a lot in nature, poodle parade events, right? Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, and we'll get people into nature and dogs into nature do things for the environment, right? Clean the creek or rid the rubbish, specific poodle parade events. But we can go hike a mountain and not damage the body at all. The body is designed by God to work, okay? But what the body's not designed to do is not be able to grip arches in the feet. So we've got things like this flat flooring in modern day, right? Tile, wood, concrete, flat flooring, slippery flooring, without texture for those feet to really grip arches. Same with the dogs. And I've been noticing this as I've been hanging out with dogs, more so than I did in the past, but we've talked about it. It's just that it's so obvious to me now, because as I say, it's as obvious as it is once you see it. A lot of these things we discuss, standing on a hard, slippery, flat flooring all day is more damaging to your body in many ways. You okay, bro? You just sneezed and hit your face on my knee. It's more damaging in the body, more damaging to the body in a lot of ways to stand on just a hard, flat floor than it is to go hike a mountain, because the body's meant to work. It's meant to grip the arches in the feet. It's meant to have a lot of motion and mobility in all the joints. And it's meant to be used in its full ranges of motion. And that's not happening if we're just standing on flooring that our feet arches can't even grip and activate the musculature on, okay? The feet are supporting the entire body, and they need to be able to work before the rest of the body can work. And so this video is titled, right, you don't need to baby your body. That's what I mean is we discuss things where, you know, I say stuff where you shouldn't do blank, and I'll say something that seems like, what, you really think that's going to damage the body? Like sitting in a chair, well, that by itself, just sitting in a chair height with weight on your hamstrings, okay? If you put weight on the muscle, it'll deactivate the muscle, because we have these sit bones, or the ischiums, the bottom of the pelvis, and that's actually where we sit in order to be sitting on bones rather than cutting muscle in half, and the activation of the muscle by sitting on a chair. And so that's what I mean is we say stuff like this, like sitting is damaging to the body, and people might think, really, you think we're going to damage our muscles by just sitting on them? It's not that you're damaging your muscle, it's that you're deactivating your muscle that's supporting the rest of your body, and now you're damaging things through breathing patterns, for example, and your shoulder positioning, and your feet arches, and the rotations in your lower leg can't be there if the hamstring can't activate. And so this is why this video is needed, why this video is important, because it shows the sides of things that we're actually saying them on, right? Where stuff that sounds like we're telling you to baby your body is actually on the opposite end. The reason why you wouldn't sit in a chair height positioning is because it's just damaging your body, as opposed to just using your body normally, okay? Here's my visual for a chair right there. Just we talk about staying over Earth's gravity, you know, keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity, your center of gravity videos, okay? There's two right there that we have under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. A lot of what we do as human beings is just deal with gravity. So do these animals we have, okay? They deal with gravity, okay? Something's pulling this way, and they're just over their own center of gravity. It's altering their bodies. And if it's pulling this way, it's just altering their bodies because of the center of gravity that we oppose, right? The feet grip arches inward, opposing the center line and keep us vertical on Earth. Now, this is what I mean. It's damaging to your body to sit in a chair, but it's not damaging to your body to go hike a mountain. Okay? And this is why it's got to come with context, and this is why the video's here, and this is why I drew a line in the sand to not cross, just so that we could stay in the frame. I don't know where the line went. I think it was right here. Yeah, anyway, because there's certain things that we can't do to our bodies that seem like simple tasks, but if we do them, we're going to be deeply ingraining patternings because we're deactivating certain muscles and then our bodies just can't work as a whole. Like I say, right, the human body is just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. There's only one way it could ever work, truly. With the center line there, with all the musculature connecting from the outside of the body in to the center line in the front, in the sternum, in the rear, from the outside to the center, to the spine, on both sides evenly, there's just contraction of muscles, and there's neutrals to all the rotations and functionality of the body. So when I say you don't need to baby your body, I discuss the body in the ways where I get so particular as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and I hit the point so hard, there is only one way the human body could ever work, and it's the truth. But that doesn't mean that you have to be so careful with it to not use it. God designed the body to work, and what that phrase really means is he designed the body to be able to do what it's supposed to do, but he also designed the body to be able to really, really work physically. You know, really dig and climb and hike and squat and do whatever we need to in our full ranges of motion, with the body working the only way it ever could, activated as a whole. So that's the big point, okay? Our body has to work all together. And anywhere any of you goes, all of your body comes with, and no compensation can be had for anything not playing its role in the body, because everything has its own individual role to play. So, if we are discussing things as in the Image Clothing Company, and it sounds like we're being overly particular, and it sounds like we're telling you to baby your body by not putting something in your pocket, and it's like, really? You think that's going to alter my entire body by putting a little thing in my pocket? You know, people might be saying, like, I think my body is stronger than just a little thing in the pocket. It can overcome that. That's not us telling you to baby your body, but that's just a discussion that can be had, or an explanation that can be given, an understanding to be deepened on the body only ever being able to work activated as a whole. And if you deactivate just one part of your body, like the hip flexor and quadricep, just by having something fairly small in your pocket, well, that's affecting your hip structure, your spine, your shoulder, out to your hand, your jaw, and its ability to stabilize your entire body, your feet arches, ability to grip, and then the rotations in your leg from your foot up and from your hip down to travel through your whole body. So we're not telling you to baby your body as in the Image Clothing Company, but there's a lot of things that happen like this, right? Little things over time building up into patterning. That's what we really do here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. We get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue that gets built up in the body through everything we do, but really everything we do is within clothing. And then clothing itself can just cause deep, deep patternings. Oversized clothing, when there's a neutral to everything, like the shoulders, right? The natural scapula position is a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. The scapulas, or the big bones on the upper back, also called shoulder blades, there's a neutral position to them. So from neutral, you can go up, back to neutral, you can go down, you can go front from neutral, and then back from neutral with the shoulder positioning, and then all the rotations in the arm from neutral to internal and from neutral to external. There's only one neutral for the entire body and all of its functioning. Look how cute this boy is. He's awesome. In the Image Clothing Company poodles, man. I'm able to hang out with this guy right now for a while, and it's really awesome. Okay. He's a poodle, by the way. If you don't know what a poodle is, In the Image Clothing Company poodles, this is a poodle, for those that don't know, I guess. He's a mini, though. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, which is a little bit taller than him, because I have to bend down to get to him, and we want the body to continue to stay in its only neutral positions. And so this is what I mean. Another example, okay, of, yeah, something that might sound like you're babying your body. I'll discuss this a little bit, okay, but let me finish what I was saying, because oversized clothing will pull your shoulders to their low end of their neutral, and there's a high end from the neutral as well. So we get stuck in one end of our neutrals, and that's the thing, right? Just a light item of maybe 100% cotton for a top, and I'm telling you how damaging it is to your entire body as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. That's not me telling you to baby your body and just be so particular about little things because your body can't be strong enough to just overcome something that you think it should. There's a lot of context that comes with it, because a lot of this stuff is just over time things build up, okay? Imbalances in clothing that are not allowing even contraction on both sides of the body from the musculature just to keep us vertical over our center of gravity. Our body will be building up so much chronic patterning in areas to really just try to compensate to keep our whole body walking or standing or just breathing alone. The entire body is involved to a degree in every breath we take, in even just stabilization, down to the feet, through the shoulders, in the jaw, the core, the legs, throughout all of it. Every breath we take, our whole rib cage expands and contracts in ideally 360 degrees, meaning if it's not altered, it'll just go all the way around. Expansion and contraction. And for our whole torso, like our upper body here, where the rib cage is, to expand and contract, the entire body is stabilizing. So, a lot of little tiny imbalances in clothing, for example, placed onto the body, they can really cause chronic patterning to get built up. So we're not babying the body under In The Image Clothing Company by being so nitpicky, because we are so nitpicky at times. Things like In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, keeping collars centered is something huge we discuss for human beings and for dogs on In The Image Clothing Company poodles, as well as here on In The Image Clothing Company's main side, because we've just got that even musculature contracting around the neck, and the jaw stabilizing the entire body directly connects to the shoulders and goes through the collar of our top. Okay, if you can see this, right? The jaw comes down and connects directly to the edge of the shoulder. And so same with dogs, if their collars aren't centered, with their jaw stabilizing their entire body through every breath, but then just through the motion, keeping the head vertical on the body, we have to keep the collars as centered as we can. And you know, the weights of leashes and harnesses and slip leads and whatever it is placed on the human body as well, these are not things that we're discussing to baby the body of the human being or the dogs or whatever animal it is. As I say, a lot of the information we give under In The Image Clothing Company poodles on letting dogs stay natural applies to just about all animals. Letting animals in general stay natural just through the information we give on what's altering them, if it is. Because we domesticate animals a lot of the time, but even wild animals we have under our care as human beings, and we bring them into these societies that we make. Like I was saying earlier, the unnatural flooring. We talk about things like hip dysplasia with dogs. A lot of that is coming from slippery flooring. Their feet can't grip the ground, and it wears out the joints traveling up. And I've been watching this with dogs that I've been spending time with. It's huge, okay? I feel it with my own feet. Because my own feet work so well now, and they didn't in the past, it's, like I'm saying, more damaging to just stand on, like, tile, for example. Like a hard, flat flooring, just like unnaturally flat and slippery, when there's just naturally texture to nature. That can be a lot more damaging to the entire body than like walking all day on a natural floor. Well, floor, if you will, but just meaning the ground with texture, because those feet really grip. There's a lot of dexterity in the feet of animals in general. They're the only things that are on the very bottom of the body. Like him, he's been on his feet the whole time. Well, so have I, through the video. The only way that can really happen is because of all the motion in the feet. In the human feet, there's 20-something, 26 or 7 bones. We've got muscles, ligaments, and tendons connecting all the functionality. With those arches gripping in, they need to be able to have grip and accommodate for what we're standing on, just because they always would. So, we're not discussing anything about babying the body under In The Image Clothing Company, because really, a lot of what we do, right, so much under the gift of video, we'll always do so much through video as In The Image Clothing Company. And when it comes to living up Utah, so much of that will just be outside in nature, and we'll go on big hikes where we do. Sometimes they'll just be more mild hikes, sometimes they'll just be walks for things like poodle parade events. But regardless, what I'm saying is we can really, really, really use our bodies, and they are very, very, very capable, robust, and resilient. Your body gets damaged and it heals itself. You strain something in your body and it will repair itself. The body is extremely resilient and extremely strong physically, but there's only one way it works. That's the thing, is if we never wore any clothing to get our bodies into patterning with things like oversized clothing, just falling to our dominant side as we're using our bodies in this right-handed world. That's a big thing we discuss, is just this right-handed patterning we get into. Even left-handed people live in a right-handed world because it just is, right? Products are designed for 85% give or take of human beings, just because that's the majority of the population, that are right-handed. And so we use our right hands for things more. We get in a right-handed patterning. And this wouldn't happen the same naturally as it does in our man-made modern day, because we've just got a lot going on, a lot of technology nowadays, clothing imbalances, things like rotated seams, right? In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification. That's what I'm saying. Things like this, these small little modifications, we're taking a pair of scissors and just doing a little tiny snip in certain locations in clothing. And it's like, if you don't know what we're doing, you might be thinking, you really think that's gonna be that big of a deal? I mean, I'm going out there and I'm deadlifting like 800 pounds, someone's saying, and you're telling me to cut a little like millimeter snip in my clothing because it's actually going to help me? Yes. Because the only way you're able to lift your 800 pound deadlift or whatever you're doing, right? But I'm just saying, I get it. A lot of the stuff we discuss sounds like we're trying to get you to baby your body. And that's why I'm saying this, is because you need to know what's happening. And in order for you to be able to lift that 800 pound barbell, well, yeah, the barbell with 800 pounds on it, you have to have even contraction of musculature on both sides of your body. And so it's not babying the body to keep a collar centered of a really light, thin little 100% cotton t-shirt. But if you have an imbalance in a really light, thin little 100% cotton t-shirt, and your collar's hanging off to one side, and your muscles aren't contracting evenly, then your whole body's damaged before you go to lift that 800 pound barbell deadlift, okay? Or whatever you're doing. That just came to my mind to say, because that's a beautiful way to explain what I'm saying and why this video is important. And I'm shivering through this, and I could film these videos anywhere, right? I don't have to do it when it's noisy out here or cold, and it is what it is. But that's the point, is it is what it is. We're just who we are as In The Image Clothing Company, and this is beautiful. Utah Lake here in Utah County, okay, in Utah, the state. in the United States of America, okay? Anyway, the point is, a lot of what I'm saying here, okay? We don't need to baby our dogs, for example, but you need to do all you can to keep their collars centered, to keep the things you place on them natural and unaltering to the dog. But, you know, that's the thing. Dogs are catching frisbees and balls, and they're running, and naturally dogs are like attacking animals, prey to eat. And then I talk about things that are just really, you know, small and simple, and, you know, things that might seem like we're babying our dogs, but they're having to deal with and work around this modern man-made world. It's very damaging, okay? So, the body, okay? Yeah. Well, it's things like this, you know, when we talk about eating and drinking with the left hand, a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, to keep the jaw centered, okay, eating with both hands or drinking things with both hands. A big point is another video's title under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, the importance of the corners of the mouth. You know, when I talk about things like this where we have to be very intentional to not alter the corners of our mouth, because, well, our jaw is our speaking, eating, breathing, and stabilization of the entire body, plus whatever role it plays in addition to that we could just discuss the jaw doing. This is the same for dogs as well, okay? And so things like just using small utensils. We don't have a video titled that as of today's date, but I might make one. We discuss it where we do, the importance of small utensils. Again, it's like, people might think that you're babying your body, like, really? Because, you know, baby-sized utensils. Well, the thing is, you're not going to be going out there and being your big macho muscular man deadlifting your 800-pound, you know, barbell with your weight on it and just sitting there and showing off to the people around you. If you can't stabilize your body through your jaw as you're that's like, it's like I'm skiing, right? As you're trying to deadlift, your jaw stabilizes the whole thing, from the feet to the tip of the head to the tips of the fingers. And if we're using too big of utensils as we eat, what we're going to actually have happen, probably, if we're not careful, which isn't babying the body, but it's being intentional to not like cut into the corners of the mouth. And then as the mouth opens, it opens off centered, and then we train the musculature of the jaw